There's a voice deep inside every dad calling him to lead. Society, vices, inner demons, negative thoughts try to dampen and drown out that voice, but it never goes away. Your wife feels it, your children feel it, and your heart and soul feel it too. It's the voice that starts off as a whisper, but then becomes a calling to be the tip of the spear for your family, a calling to play all out and lead by example for your children, a calling to build a legacy that will go on for generations, a calling to be the warrior dad you were born to be. Dads, our children need us now more than ever to be that beacon of hope, courage, positivity, and strength. It's time to rise as warrior dads together as a brotherhood. If you felt that twinge in your soul, it's time for the Warrior Dad experience. Welcome to the show. I'm extremely excited to have special guest Markus Kaulius on the show. Markus, welcome to the show.
Brother, are you kidding me right now? I am so fired up from that. I'm like, I got to go for another workout. How do you not watch that and just, let's go? I'm psyched to be here. I'm psyched to have a conversation with you. And most importantly, I'm psyched to put some action out there and really challenge these dads. I know that's what you want to. So let's make a crazy episode today and let's get people taking action.
I love it. And I love that intentionality. And that video, yes, it does that job. It fires me up every time I watch it. It fires the guests up, and energy is so important. So Markus, let's start real quick, right? A show all for dads. Dad game. What's your dad dynamic in your household?
I love being a dad. So I got two amazing daughters. I honestly hit the lottery with children. My two girls, they're 14 and 12, and they are truly amazing. Like the two most amazing young women I've ever met. And we have an incredible dynamic, tons of respect and love, and a spectacular wife. Over 19 years, I'm absolutely obsessed with my wife. And there's lots on that topic that I'm excited to share with you as well.
I love it. Love it. So I know we titled the episode Balancing Business, Health, and Family and Fatherhood. Would love to get your slant, and then let's dive into it a little bit deeper.
I love it, man. Well, listen, I think one of the first things I want to talk about with balance, that was a word that confused me for so many years. All I heard when I heard someone say you got to find balance is stop working, like take a year off, take months off. And I'm like, what? No, that doesn't work. Like I have to, that's part of being a dad. I got to provide and I got to get ahead. I've really started to learn what balance means, and it means something different for everyone. It is a totally different definition for every human being. You have to find the balance that works for you, and you are the one who knows the answer inside. If you're going, man, I'm working too much, and it is my relationships at home are suffering. Okay, you recognize that is not the right balance. Now, again, it doesn't mean now you have to take a month off to try and correct things. But you have to start taking action. Don't just watch these things, see these things, recognize these things and go, but there's nothing I can do. You are absolutely in control. You can take action. You can make change, and the world will be different tomorrow.
Yeah, I love that. And I think for me personally, anytime, and I was in corporate America for 20 years, anytime I heard balance, immediately in my mind, it was absolutely equal, which sets everybody up for failure because it's not going to be equal, but you've got to figure out. And I love how you said, figure it out for yourself, and everybody's going to be different. So dad, hearing balance, saying, I can't figure it out. What are 1, 2, 3 actionable things that he can do to start that process?
I love it. Number one, get some exercise. Get more exercise. There's very few dads I meet who go, oh yeah, I have got that balance perfect. I'm working out enough. I feel good in my skin. I like my body. That's a rare thing. I'm one of those guys. I love the balance I've struck. Now, I want to also put something in your mind. So many men and women out there So this is a great thing to offer up to your wife as well, gentlemen. So many men and women have this issue of like, yeah, but I feel selfish. This is selfish time. Like I can't take that time out. I want to tell you how selfish you are not getting your exercise. If you aren't getting your exercise, you do not have the energy that you should have to show up not only to work, but for your family. Number two, your health. You get sick more than you should be getting sick. There it is. If you've never heard that before, you need to like understand what fitness does for our immune systems. I don't get sick. So how many extra days per year do I have over the next guy? And then number three, you can't pretend you don't see what's going on all around us and what's happening to these people in their 50s now. We're not talking 70s and 80s and they're old and I got to take care of them. In their 50s, they're falling apart and they're making their children and all the people around them take care of them now. So because you weren't willing to do a little exercise in your 30s and 40s, now you have to rely on everybody else, including the taxpayer, to take care of you. And I'm not trying to blame anybody. I'm not trying to come down on anyone. I want you in your 30s and 40s to recognize it's selfish of me not to take good care of myself. I'm giving you the license to go get some extra exercise. And now you've got the explanation to tell your spouse, tell your kids, Daddy's going to go do this. Plus, look at the example you're setting. If you're not exercising, why would you think your kids are ever going to exercise? If you don't like the skin you're in, why would you think your kids are ever going to like it? You're now hoping that someone else is going to teach them that lesson. Maybe they're going to pick it up on TikTok. Really? Is that the conversation we're having? So be the leader and have that conversation with your spouse too. Encourage your spouse. Go take some you time. I'll take care of the family while you're taking care of yourself. You watch how much better your relationship is going to be.
No, I love that. We are physical beings. We are meant to move. You want to operate at a high level?
Yes.
You've got to have your fitness dialed in. And my wife will ask me, can I go do yoga? And I appreciate she asked me. And I always tell her the answer will always be yes if you're going to exercise or do something. And to your point about setting the example for your kids, we as a family, Monday, Wednesday, Fridays are at the local YMCA at 5:15 as a family. Why?
I love it.
Well, I was a former CrossFitter. My boys, when they were 3 and 4, saw me compete. Like they saw me doing things. You want them to play all out in life and be physically fit, not have those downstream health impacts. Man, you got to set the example. So I love that. That's where it starts. And so many people miss that physical nature of being able to have energy. And to your point, the first one you made, selfish. It's selfish not to do it because you're not being the best version of yourself.
Yes.
So what if, hey, I've been out of exercise. I'm 45 years old. I haven't done anything for 10 years. I'm triggered by Jeff and Markus talking about it. I've got maybe a 5 and a 7-year-old son that are very impressionable. I want to set the standard. How do I get started?
Oh, I love it. The answer is so simple. Just start. You have so many answers. So many answers inside you. What would it look like just to start? How about we go for a walk tonight? Fantastic. And the better, the walk that's in nature is so much better. So find some nature around you. Take the family and go, we're going. Do some push-ups in front of them or with them. Or, hey, guys, I got a challenge. Hey, if anybody can beat me in push-ups, I'll give them $5. Like, just have some fun with it. Get them involved. See how easy it is? And now I will mention this, Mr. 45-year-old who hasn't worked out in a while. You're not 21 anymore. You don't have to be a hero. This is not like, hey, I'm going to do 1,000 push-ups, even though I haven't done a push-up in 10 years. Don't hurt yourself. Again, this is where balance comes in and why everybody's answer is different about balance. But just get some exercise, start moving, and remember how good that feels. And then celebrate afterwards. Go, man, I feel good. Hey, kids, don't you guys feel good? Wasn't that awesome? Celebrate it with them. Remind them. Kids don't have this thing in their head that triggers them to go, oh, yeah, that was actually really good. How do you guys feel right now? Wasn't that awesome to be outside? And yeah, you're going to get a little bit of you're going to get a little bit of resistance because nothing is as good as sitting in front of the iPad for 6 hours straight to those children. So, but it's worth the fight, everybody. So my encouragement, and it's my encouragement for this whole episode, is just take action. Just keep taking action. If this path isn't the right path, try this path. Just keep moving forward. So many of us just sit in our seats hoping things are going to change, and shocker, nothing does.
Yeah, I love that. And I love just asking them how they feel after moving the body. I had in the fall an instance where my oldest son, 15, was kind of going through a rut. And I said, all right, tomorrow you're working out. We're going to hit the weights together. And then 3 hours later, we're going to go for a run. And he said, Dad, but it's going to rain. I said, exactly. Nobody else will go out in the rain. So we hit the weights. We went for a run in the rain. And I gave some energy, some people on the trail. And we got in the truck. And he said, Dad, I said, how do you feel? He says, I feel amazing. I said, yes, because we changed our physiology. We moved. We did a hard thing that most people don't do. So I'm right there from that perspective. So exercise, number one, you got to dial that in. What else from actionable things that dads can do to balance business, health, and fatherhood?
Number two, I want you to start writing stuff down. I want you to make a list right now. Health, family, work. What's most important to you, and where are you at right now? Which one needs to move up? Which one might need to move down? If you want to look at it in hours, which one's taking up too many hours? Which one's not getting enough hours? It's so important for us to look at this stuff, write it down. This is what so few of us do. And you just kind of go, yeah, I should be doing a little bit more of this. I guess it'll correct itself. When has it ever corrected itself? If we take the intentional time to write these things down, the next logical step is let's do some intentional action to change these things. Take out your schedule and start putting things in your schedule. Hey, honey, we're going to go on a date on Thursday night. Get the kids booked for a babysitter, or if the kids are old enough to stay at home, they're staying at home. You and I are getting a date. Hey, kids, this Saturday from noon until 6 p.m., here's what we're going to go do. It's intentional time. I love this word because not enough of us are doing this. And every time I do something with intention, it radically changes my life. I can spend intentional time with my kids, looking in their eyes, asking them. And right away, they're like, oh, dad's like really listening right now. Or if I sit with my wife, one of my favorite things to do is when she's on the couch, I kneel by her and I just look up at her. And I'm like, tell me about your day. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, and ask these probing questions. And you can see she kind of, this is the classic where we're on our phones or whatever. And then they go, oh, I'll put my phone down. Oh, you're being intentional. Okay, I'll be intentional. That is like so beautiful. And the value of that in your relationship, for your heart, for your health, for your sleep, for your kids to see you acting like that to their mom, for your wife to see you acting like that to your kids. The value is so huge. Why are we not doing this every single day?
So true. It's that intentionality.
Yeah.
It's intentionally pouring in, I like to say, to your family, planting seeds for future growth. And one of the practices I've gotten into, and I've got 2 teenage boys, but sometimes I will grab them and I will hold them in front of me and I will grab their faces and just say, Jackson or Carter, I love you. Yeah. And I want you to know that. And they look at me, they're like, Dad's an intense dude. I get a little emotional just now saying it, but man, those intentional moments that we miss as dads, we'll never get them back. And that's what breaks my heart for so many dads that don't play with that intentionality, Marcus, that you do or I do on a daily basis, is those micro moments, you don't get them back. So that intentionality and writing it down is so critical, because if it's in our minds, it's going to be lost. You got to put it down on paper and you got to say, okay, here's what I'm going to do, and get it on the calendar, like you said, because then it actually takes place. And if it's not scheduled, man, life happens to so many of us. So I love that piece.
Oh, I love that, brother. Hey, I got one more actionable item that you just reminded me by grabbing your son's face, which I love that. Here's a challenge for every dad listening to this. It's such an easy challenge. I want you to do this today. When you've heard this, go do it immediately. I want you to hug your child, and you are going to be the one to not break the hug. And I'm going to tell you the life cycle of a hug, and it's awesome. It's hilarious. Now that you'll know it, you're going to watch for it, and then you're going to laugh, and you're going to go, wow, Markus was so right. Now, of course, I'm not right 100% of the time. Some people, I don't know your relationship with your kids. Some kids are just going to eventually push away. And I'm so sorry for that, but there are fixes to that one. But here we go. We hug and we embrace. And I'd say the average hug is about 3 seconds before somebody breaks. Now, your kid is going to you're going to feel that tension release at about 3 seconds, like, all right, we're about to break. And you just keep hugging. And then the kid goes, oh, okay, we're still hugging. Okay. And then comes back in for more. And then this is where, it's going to get weird and it's going to get awkward, but it's amazing. They break again, but they kind of just go, oh, this feels pretty good. Like, all right, you've got something going on. I'll stick around for it, I guess. But you can feel it through the hug that they're like, this feels pretty good. And there's science that shows after 8 seconds of hugging, you radically change what's happening in the other person's body. You release so many extra endorphins. You are actually healing that human being by holding on for more than 8 seconds.
Wow. I love that challenge. I'm doubling down. You hear that?
Yes.
When you hear it, you've got to do it. And these are, Markus, thank you so much for sharing that. That's one that I didn't know or wasn't aware of. I'm going to implement that today because I'm an action taker. It's these small, simple things like a random act of kindness that you do for somebody else. It benefits the person that you do it for. Yeah. It boosts your immune system.
Yes.
And the most amazing thing is if somebody is watching that, it boosts their immune system. Like, that's the things. Those are the things we need to be focusing on, because then we change the world, and we're spiraling up versus how we're spiraling out of control right now. So I love that hug challenge. That's a great one. I appreciate you sharing that for sure.
I love that. Jeff, I know you're an advanced kind of guy, so I'm going to give you the one more step to go above and beyond. When you're doing it, I want you just to be saying or thinking loving thoughts. Here's the thing. People don't recognize or accept, I should say, how much energy plays a massive role. Do you ever, you ever been in a bad situation with your wife? You guys are having a bit of an argument, and now you're standing next to each other, washing the dishes, and you're just shooting off little negative vibes. I can't believe she did that. Can't believe we're in this fight. It's all her fault. Stupid this, stupid that. You think the other person doesn't feel that? Well, just reverse the situation. Don't you feel that? Those daggers coming out of your wife, she didn't even have to look at you. It's just this energy that you're, okay. Well, the opposite is true as well. So if you're hugging this person and you're like, oh, I love this person so much. God, thank you so much for this person. That is transferring. People will feel that. Now you are amplifying that hug. You're juicing it like you wouldn't believe. They are going to walk away going, I don't know why. Today's a really good day. I have the energy to do stuff today. What if you did this stuff every day? Do you see how this stuff compounds? And who will your children be if you did this with them every day? How would they treat other human beings? What would other people say about your kids if they were walking around doing this stuff?
Yeah, I love it. And one of the proudest things my wife and I say all the time is our boys, still 15 and 13, if they're leaving the house, they come find us and give us a hug and a kiss, say we love each other before they leave. But now this is another layer, that hug. And let's pull that thread around energy, because I was actually just talking to one of the Warrior Dad groups that I run, and it was about energy. And when you feel, and it was an example I was sharing, one of my sons would shoot hoops, wouldn't have the best results, and he'd jump into the truck and he'd be ticked off, and I could just feel it from him coming in. And I brought it up as an example, like, hey, you put in the work, be proud of that and bring your positive energy to it. And, energy can work in both ways. From a positive perspective, man, it can fire us up just like that video, right? And all of a sudden we're jumping in. If we were in the same place, we'd be ready to go crush a workout together, right? But it also is on the negative side of things, where if you bring stuff home, let's say as a dad, maybe work wasn't the greatest, and you walk in that door and you're angry and frustrated, it's going to trickle down to every single person in your family when you're doing that. So what are some actionable strategies maybe to shift that energy from a negative to a positive? Just in that example, like, hey, work went sideways.
Yeah.
I now have to transition from, career mode to dad and husband, family man mode. What would be a couple things that dads could do to change that or shift it?
So I love this question. And I want to just say to everybody, there are about 1,000 different tools at your disposal here to change. So if you're interested in making this change, make a commitment to learning and exercising these tools. And the first thing I'm going to tell you, even before I give you your first tool, is to recognize, just like everything we give you for these tools is muscles that you just haven't worked yet. And so they're going to start off really small muscles. And when you have really small muscles, you got to start and you just got to keep consistent. And you can't go, oh, I could barely lift today, I'll never try this again. No. Just come back tomorrow. They're going to be a little bit stronger and a little bit stronger and a little bit stronger. So you just had a rough day and you're sitting in your car and you're about to come in. Mm-hmm. You need to change your state. So your mental state right now is, things are crappy. Oh, I had a crappy day. I'm probably going to have a crappy night. Is any of this sounding relatable, everyone?
Yeah.
You can radically change this in an instant. The first thing I'm going to tell you to do, close your eyes, take a couple of big, deep, calm breaths, and just visualize the breath itself. And then I want you to look in your memory for one of your favorite moments in your life. It doesn't have to be the favorite moment, it just has to be a favorite moment. And I want you to actually be back in that moment. So don't just look at it like a picture. Don't look at it like a home video. I want you to actually look at it first person point of view. You're looking through your own eyes again. Who was in the room? How did it feel, whatever that was? So I'm going to tell you one of mine. It was this moment, my daughter Bailey and I were sitting on the couch, and I don't even know what we were doing. I might have been watching TV. It didn't matter. She put her arms around me and she pulled me like I could hear her thoughts. She was like, I can't get close enough to my dad right now. She pulled me so tight for just like no reason. Man, when I go back to that moment, I am just flooded with joy, endorphins, happy hormones. And if I spend 1 minute in that, just 1 minute, I'm right there. I'm not watching it. I'm not taking a picture. I'm there. I can feel her embrace again. Oh, do you know how good that feels?
Yeah.
Walking away right now from that moment. Do you think look at it. I can't even contain my smile right now. It doesn't matter what kind of day I had. Look how good that feels. Now I'm going to walk in my house feeling that much better. That took 1 minute and 20 seconds at the most. You could compound these things by going, you know what? I'm just going to spend a few minutes here. And you know what? I'm going to think about one more just something different. Maybe it's my wedding day. Maybe it's just anything that was a great moment for you. Then you go in the house. Look at how much better your night's going to be. And I just going to remind you and give you guys one more big overarching point with this. You're going to find what you're looking for. So if you're telling yourself, this is a crappy night, guess what? You're going to find all kinds of evidence. And this is your reticular activating complex working. So if I said to you, how many red cars did you pass on the way home today? I have no idea. But now that I've said it, if you went for a drive, you would see every red car. So now we're going to use that RAC for your benefit. Instead of going, everything's going to be crappy tonight, which you will find evidence. Look, the dishes weren't done. I barely got a hug out of my wife. I blah, 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 blah. You're going to do the opposite. Now I've had that moment to think about it, and I'm going to go, this is going to be a great night. And your RAC is going to watch for those things. And then I want you to take a minute to celebrate those things. Look at that. I got a big hug from my wife, a big smooch. It is going to be a good night. Oh, you know what? Me and the kids were, hey guys, do you want to play cards after? Oh, it's going to be a good night. These things will compound. You're using it for the positive. And last thing to remember, your muscles are small right now. That's okay. You're going to grow this muscle. Think about it. If you did that every night for 10 nights, don't you think it would be so much easier to do? Doesn't it all of a sudden become second nature? What about 30 nights? How would that impact your relationships at home? How would that impact your relationships at the office? Because now you have such a great home life that you're going out into the world and changing the world. And you're giving that advice to others, and you're supporting others who are on that same road as you. And then you can find other dads who are in this together and challenge each other. How many nights are you at? I'm at 15 in a row. Keep going. You're doing great. Look how quickly our world can radically change. And those are choices you can make today.
No, I love it. And I love your muscles are small when you're starting, and it's a mindset muscle, right? It's not a physical weight you're lifting. No. You're doing a rep mentally. Yes. And so many times we're only focused on the physical. And I know you know this, like the physical unlocks the mental. But when you say, and you step in between walking into that house, bent, sideways, pissed off, angry, and you say, no, I'm going to just breathe, and I'm going to go back to this moment, and I'm going to get into a state. I'm going to change my state, and I'm going to smile, and I'm going to come in with energy. You're going to create such a different vibe. Yeah. And listen, as dads, we are the tip of the spear. We are the leader. We bring a positive alpha energy to it, and it's balanced by our wives, but we've been stated too long that we shouldn't bring it. We need to bring it. Our families feed off of it. And too many times we're just kind of punting being a dad and being that leader of our families. And if you want your family dynamic to change, back to your first point, it starts with you.
Yes.
It starts with you leading first. But I love that of going to a moment in time, a micro moment you had, and just soaking in and changing your state. And yes, it's just going to spiral up from that point forward. And you've probably seen it, right? Where all of a sudden people are like, what kind of blood do you have going through your veins? And it's like, it's the same blood you have. I just choose to do different things. And I love how you mentioned, the reticular activating system, dialing it in. It's going to show us what the mind perceives as important to us. Well, if we're looking at the negative, it's only going to find the negative. Yeah. If we're expressing gratitude, if we're expressing the great things, we're celebrating the good things, it finds more good things and more gratitude to celebrate. So we've got to leverage that power that we've had. And unfortunately, I don't think it's, taught in schools, and not many people have an awareness of it. So dads listening, this is a superpower that you can dial in that Markus is sharing with us. Markus, we got a few minutes left. What's your last inspirational words that you would give a dad who's leading his family? He feels that itch on the back of his neck that he just can't scratch. He feels that calling, like, I know I can be what Markus and Jeff are talking about today. What would you say to him?
Surround yourself by other dads who want to do the same. We've forgotten how important community is. If you are hanging out with a bunch of people who all love to hang out at McDonald's, guess who you are going to become? You're going to be learning to love that Big Mac, brother. But if you hang out with a bunch of guys who are like, I want to be a better dad, and hey, let's have the conversation. It doesn't have to be weird. Let's talk about it. Here are some of the things I'm doing as a better dad. Will you guys hold me accountable? Does anybody else want to be on this road with me? That's how you're going to really get ahead. Man, Jeff, I think you're shaking your head going, oh my goodness, this guy's doing a perfect pitch for me. And I am, by the way. Hang out with other dudes who want to be better dads. You guys have so much control. And Jeff, I want to highlight something you said, and I absolutely love it. You are the leader of that home. Step into that leadership role. If you are giving that up, guess who is taking the reins? You're giving it to Netflix. You're giving it to TikTok. Are those who you want leading your family, leading your children, raising your children? You have the power. Step into that leadership role. And I don't care what mistakes you've made. I don't care who you've been up until today. You can start making changes today. Yes, your muscles are small. They're going to start growing immediately if you put in work. And so I want to encourage you with that. And I am one of those guys. I would love to hang out with you. I would love to be in your circle. I would love to challenge you, hold you accountable, keep testing you to see how much of a great father you can become and how far you can push me as well. So hang out with me. Come find me. Come find me on social media. Come find me at Play Bigger Game. I want to surround you with the greats who will make you great. And I know you have greatness in you, or you wouldn't be listening to this amazing podcast.
Markus, thank you so much for being on the show.
So grateful, brother. That felt like 3 minutes. Thank you for your time. I love what you're doing. I love who you are. Keep being amazing. You are a great leader.
Thank you. Appreciate you watching. Appreciate for listening. Dare to be uncommon. Love, lead, legacy. Create a legendary day. I'll talk to you soon.